Hi, my name is Meet Mendpara, and my thesis is titled Beyond the School Walls Inclusive Environment for Lifelong Learning. The presentation is followed with the premise, introduction for the site, and then the intervention. So the thesis specifically looks at the two knowledge holding and disseminating bodies, the school and the library, and how these environments can be made inclusive and accessible across various age groups. It critically looks at the existing state run schools and libraries and using the government's new educational policy as a base. The thesis looks at creating inclusive learning environments within a neighborhood. The aim is to discover opportunities and access to resources that propagate curiosity to learn by turning institutions into a truly public resource. The thesis started with a question: why are schools only for children? The school is imagined as a place where everyone is supposed to go and get education. It is a place where you get in, pass certain stages, and get out. The newer trend in the economy demands for different ways in which we engage knowledge. While I was doing the research, the National Educational Policy 2020 was announced. It basically attempts to find ways for the execution at the ground level by looking at the current systems of governance. So the municipality becomes the facilitator for providing infrastructure for learning, which currently is the public school. One of the important aspects taken from the policy was the idea of these autonomous learning clusters that are formed at the scale of a neighborhood. These are imagined to be a self-governing educational facilities like municipal schools, different grades of public libraries, anganwadis, and adult education centers. The facilities would be administered by the school body along with the community body, which consists of members of residents association, NGOs, and volunteers. As the policy further talks about the optimum utilization of these resources, how can these schools be redesigned for utilization after school hours? Similarly, as public libraries allow access to various ages, how can it extend its facilities for continuing learning programs? Basically, the policy imagines these two learning institutions to open out its boundaries to the neighborhood it's located in. Talking about the neighborhood, I started to identify these institutions in the neighborhood I reside in, a suburb in Mumbai, Vileparle East, and documenting its functioning with a critical lens. So, the municipal school marked in red is the only public school in the locality with multiple mediums of schooling within the same block. Few themes that were narrowed down were the idea of the school designed as a fortress, capsule learning, a coded machine, and the idea of power dynamics. The school did not have any relation to the context it was located in, a series of systemic events that were carried on for a particular time frame, just like a machine. The school is designed as capsules, the classroom, because the classrooms, the dance room, the computer labs, all are designed as a same monotonous space connected with a double loaded corridor. The classrooms are not designed for passive supervision but are in turn always dominated by the teacher. To conclude the study, the aim is to eliminate the divide the municipal school and the neighborhood it's located in. So similarly, the study of the library was done. As per statistics, it shows that there is a shortage of public libraries in the neighborhood with respect to the population. Here the A-graded library is located within the community center on one of the floors administered by the trust. The few themes narrowed down for this institution were a vault of books, where the library is designed largely like a storage, the idea of constant policing, and finally the monotonous engagement with the information. As you see, it has only one room with couple benches around surrounded by the shelves. So the aim is basically to transform the library to become the third space for the neighborhood and to look at the ways to keep itself relevant in the upcoming future. So apart from these two institutions, the idea is to look at the decentralized spaces beyond beyond these institutions that extend the public realm and informal ways of engaging with learning activities. So the combination of institutional and extramural creates a holistic, accessible, lifelong learning environment for the neighborhood. The program strategy comes from the conclusions from the study that is done. One, regarding the spaces for learning, and second, the acts of learning itself. Site location: the site is in the neighborhood of Vileparle East, which sits between the railway station on the west and Western Express Highway on the east. It is anchored towards the railway station and the roads leading to it. The larger site context is clearly divided by the high density market street, where commercial land use is towards the station marked in grey and residential gated society is marked in black. The density in traffic movement reduces as one moves from the market road towards the interior roads. Talking about the site in depth, also the orientation is changed for the diagrams. So you can see the road marked in yellow is the Market Street and the other two interior streets. The reserved plot for the municipal school is anchored along the Market Street on one side and interior road on the other. There is an existing park and the dilapidated building on the node. The school site is surrounded by the two residential buildings. Across the school site, the community center, including the public library, is located. This was the library that was studied during the research. Reworking on the compound walls, the idea is to create relationships from the node to the site, park to the school, and park to the temple. The final program designations naturally happen to be the public school and the park on the plot marked in red, and public library and the existing rental halls as a part of the community center marked in blue. The larger design move is to create a thoroughfare right from the Market Street, which cuts across two interior lanes into the residential zone. The programs are listed within these three verticals, that is, fixed, flexible, and open. Spaces that require privacy and security, one for the schooling purpose, are fixed. Spaces that can be open after school hours, used by different age groups at parts of the day and night, are the flexible ones. And spaces open for public use throughout the day are open programs. Keeping the programs in mind, some on-site explorations in the form of sketches and physical model was done to understand the scale. So the idea was to basically recess the school building to the interior road with necessary setbacks while creating a public interface at the edge. This keeps a buffer between the school building and the noisy street. Access points are opened up, one at the node and other at the huge banyan tree on site. The common program that starts responding to the park on one side and the node on other. For the public library, the block is aligned to the southern side of the plot, leaving the northern side of the plot open. A connection is thought out at one of the levels between the two sites, apart from the ground level accessibility. Talking about the diagrams, I'll briefly talk about the larger programs in the project. The informal hawkers on site at the edge are housed, creating a series of shop fronts accessible from the pavement. The school building that is sectionally divided as per the updated stages of schooling as per the new educational policy. A set of AV facilities and the lift core that take a separate bay. The commons are the spaces shared by the school, like the gymkhana, canteen, children's library, labs, and an open terrace. Anganwadi block with play school on the ground floor opening up towards the park, and on the top floor, a healthcare clinic for mothers and children. The cyber space houses the midday meal kitchen on the ground floor, computer lab on the first, and environmental study space on the roof above. Citizens Facilitation Center opens out towards the node. This program is usually at the ward offices, but the municipality also plans on making these centers more accessible for the betterment of the neighborhood. A set of plinth work is done in the existing part for seating and connecting ramp to the temple. A connection is made from the school to other open ground across. It also has a walkway or a veranda that connects to the public library block. That's the public library, and three rental spaces like halls take place in the other block. The mobile infrastructure is designed to integrate itself with the facade of the public library on the ground floor, which is also seen to be placed in the park. This diagram shows the restricted areas and open areas during school hours, and here the spaces that open out after school hours. Talking about the plans, here the orientation is north up with Market Road on the west of the plot. The shop fronts at the edge, along with amphitheaters, act as a compound wall with two large openings to the site. The ground floor is designed with a clear movement towards the public library. Also, in the park, along with modulation of seating and the ramp that leads to the extended plinth at the temple area. I will first focus on the school site. The ground floor is largely stilted, and midday meal kitchen and canteen is in the common areas open out to an internal court. At the node, there is a stationery shop along with the bicycle parking. In the Anganwadi block, the play school opens itself out into the greens and the sandpit on the other side. Structurally, the building is divided into bays where the systems of spanning changes. One in the blue has a load bearing in the outer circular form with a column in the center to break down the span. The main school block consists of a balanced cantilever system. The AV facility at the pivot point becomes a shear construction with the heavy lift core and the fire shaft at the corner. The commons consist of a plus-shaped columns with deep beams on either sides. The cyber block along the EVS rooftop consists of a flat slab system with strip capitals and circular columns. Focusing on the main school structure, the foundation takes a raft footing with retaining walls. T-shaped columns help spanning the beams in both the direction. The primary beams in RCC creates a 1 meter level difference at the cantilever parts. The cantilevered areas are 4 meters on either sides with a central balancing span of 10 meters. The secondary beams bind the primary ones with cross beams at both the levels. RCC slabs are casted with the beams. Coming back to the first floor plan, it largely the space is used for study and other events. The children's library is imagined as a space that also opens out after school hours. The storage for books is decentralized on the floor plan as well as within the movement block at the corner. The computer lab connects itself with the CFC, that is Citizens Facilitation Center block, with a bridge. The set of counters necessary for CFC is laid out with a waiting space at the node. Two classrooms for the foundational stage, that is the first and the second standard, is placed within the Anganwadi block. The second floor houses the preparatory stage, that is classes 3 to 5. The school layout is designed in a way that alters the idea of the corridor space as just a movement function. Here, the classrooms tend to open out in the common area, which become a secondary space for learning and engagement. The other prominent change is in the vertical movement. Here, the staircase blocks are decentralized, so it does not become a boring continuous dog-legged staircase well. The Commons block holds the science labs, which opens out to the environmental study space. The water arrestor at the edge drains the water in the courtyard with a spout, whereas in the Anganwadi block, it houses a clinic for inspection of children's healthcare. The bridge on the right connects to the site across. The third floor plan houses classrooms for the middle stage, that is 6 to 8. This floor opens itself to the terraces of the common block and an outdoor seating space, learning space towards the east, which overlooks the playground. As a design decision, the larger spaces are placed on the south face of the building, where it attempts for where the double heights and all are attempt with large openings is made towards the north. The last floor houses two classrooms for the secondary stage, that is 9th and 10th. The faculty rooms along with the principal's office is located at this level. The central space is left for assemblies with modulation with the roof that gets indirect east and west light. Underground level is designed for gymkhana and study areas that can be opened after school hours. The central space with a circular light is left open with temporary furniture which can be transformed as per requirement. So this is the cross section cutting through the school block with series of opening towards the north face and north-south cross ventilation. The plinth edge is detailed that accommodates the ventilators for the underground space as well as the seating for the canteen at the plinth level. The south elevation is largely covered with the hollow precast blocks that modulates the harsh sunlight. Whereas the north facade is seen to have lighter metalwork on which planters and creepers can grow, along with series of double heights. That's the front elevation of the school with balconies coming out as an outdoor space. These are few details of the edge of the building, the cantilevered portion that is raised up by a meter that accommodates the window system, the ledge, the ventilator, and a space for greens to grow. This shows the functioning of a classroom, which is a lecture scenario. This is the work scenario towards the window with movable furniture. And the secondary space gets taken over during the recess hours. This drawing cuts across the common functions, showing the edge that accommodates shops, the amphitheater, the canteen, computer block, and the green roof for EVS, and the block for the vertical movement. This is the detail of the cyber block with flat slab construction, where on the upper floor the capital strip upturns and accommodates the soil within. In the courtyard, the water collection area keeps the courtyard cool, where the water further leads to the filter bed and the rainwater harvesting tank. Talking about the vertical movement at the corner of the common block, it creates different pause points at landings where informal activities could take place. The openings overlook the park, framing the trees at foliage level, some large windows becoming storage for books. The top shaft with the louvers allows hot air to escape. The built up of the site is around 4,900, which is the school site, and the final built up of library and school both together comes up to 7250 square meter. These are the calculations for water supply, toilet fixtures, rainwater, and solar energy. This plan indicates the water supply and drainage from the main line. The solar panels are placed on two roofs that suffices almost the entire energy requirement of the school building. This plan indicates the rainwater harvesting and drainage. Now, talking about the public library across the road, the library is designed in a way where the 9 meters circular spiral movement block, which holds the shelves for the books, the staircase, and the seating, is accommodated within. The mobile modules are seen docked on the north facade. The book printing, along with some kiosks, are also at this level. These allow books to get printed in multiple languages for more reach and accessibility. A small lecture space descends down with a series of steps. The entrance to the auditorium is from the east. On the upper level, the workspaces, a small screening space with pantry and washrooms take place. Structurally, the building library uh, block is mainly 20 by 20 span with series of columns on either edges. The span is cut with the help of a shear circular block with a set of beams. The spiral staircase is casted in RCC in between the elevator shaft and the external shear core. At the terrace level, the beam is upturned for accommodating waterproofing layers. The slab is cantilevered from the elevator shaft that accommodates glazing and vents. The section shows how the indirect light enters the movement space and the opening of the library block to the playground. The school building is seen in elevation. The south facade consists of precast hollow blocks as to modulate the harsh sunlight, whereas the north facade has large openings to capture maximum north light. The elevation also shows like how mobile models are docked at the lower level. These sections show the detailing of the edges on either sides of the library block. This is a long section cutting through the public library site, through the temple and the park. It shows the scale of the project with respect to the neighboring buildings. The calculations were made for water supply, toilet fixtures, and rainwater for the site. This plan shows the water supply and drainage from the main lines. This plan shows the rainwater harvesting and rainwater drainage. Talking about the mobile models, these mobile models are designed to become the part of the place they are put in. For example, a park between the trees, extended plinth near a place of worship, plaza outside the railway station. The base is created with formwork of 2.5 by 2.5 meters on which these models can be built. Larger themes were library, audiovisual, play, and Wi-Fi charging station. This is the library model which has a storage for books and space for seating. In this model, the steps unfold out and the inner storage becomes a walkthrough. Audiovisual model is used for awareness programs or certain workshops. This model provides internet facility and charging points for working in an open space. The play model has various interfaces for intuitive play for kids, like periscope, wind speed detector, and others. This is the view from the park looking towards the Anganwadi block. The mobile library is seen parked in between the trees. Yeah, that's it. That's the thesis beyond the school walls.